Greetings everyone, Rio Grande fan back here again with another ESU tutorial video. In this video I'd like to talk about the random sounds and how that works in the new ESU V5 decoders. This is a question that comes up a lot. It's a little confusing, so I'd like to unconfuse everyone if I can. So we're going to start with opening sound file, and I have a S0508 open right here. It can be any sound file, they all kind of work the same. This works a little differently in the V5 than it did with the selects. In the V5 you have a lot more control over the random functions. This is a good thing because now you can choose how they work, and you can choose the volumes, which sounds play randomly, and so forth. So in the V5 the random sounds are on the function settings table, and they're down here in this little block. And the way this works is the decoder actually has the ability to turn functions on and off just like you do with your DCC system. And that's what's actually happening here. So if we look at this, in random 1 we have stop, we have drive, we have driving sound on, and we have function 11. So this will play when the locomotive is stopped, moving, and the prime mover is on, and it's going to trigger function 11. Now you might be saying, what is function 11? I don't even know. This is the default file. I haven't modified it, so this is what function 11 is. If we click it, it shows radiator fan. That's good. That's a good random sound. So down here we're going to see what its active minimum is. Now active means on, and it has to be at least, so minimum, 5 seconds. So it's going to play for at least 5 seconds with this setting. Active maximum means it's going to play for up to 25 seconds, somewhere between 5 and 25 seconds. If you don't like these values, you want it to maybe play longer, you can. Now it's not going to play constantly for this 20 seconds, but it will play somewhere between. So it could play for 6, it could play for 15, it could play for 24. It's going to play somewhere in this value, in this range. Passive means off. So passive minimum means it's got to be off for at least 50 seconds. Passive maximum means it's got to be off up to 150 seconds. So after 150 seconds lapse after it turned off, now let's say it turns on at 6 seconds, or plays for 1 second. At 5 seconds it turns on, and at 6 seconds it turns off. Now it's got to wait 150 seconds max before it turns on again. It could turn on at 50 seconds, could turn on at 55 seconds. That's up to the decoder to decide. So you can play with these numbers until you get a balance to where you want it. So again, active is on, passive is off. So this is the off time. It has to be off for at least 50, but no more than 150. If we come down to the next one, we see that stop isn't included. Let's drive, driving sound on, and function 18, which is the sanding valve. Most locomotives don't run the sanding valve stopped, at least not intentionally. So that's why stop isn't included here. And here we have an active minimum of 5, an active maximum of 20, so somewhere between 5 and 20 seconds it will play. And it will be off for at least 100, but no more than 255. Again, if you want it to play more often, you can reduce these numbers. And if you want it to possibly play for longer, you can increase these numbers here and get different results. And you just come on down here and you can check all of these. Function 19 is the short air let off. Again, there's the values. 20 is the air compressor. Here's the values. Function 21 is the air dryer. And here's the values. Now if you notice, the active minimum and the active maximum are only 1 second apart. So it's got to play for at least 1 second, but no more than 2. If you don't like that, you might want it to play a little longer. You can change that. And then here we have in random 6, we have the shutters. Now actually by default stop was off in this one. So this is how it comes default. Shutters only play when it's driving or when the prime mover is on. And again, a 1 to 2 second play, which might not be enough. So that really probably should be changed. And then again, here's the other time. So that's pretty much the random sounds. Not much else to it. If you wanted to add another random sound, you can do that here. In these two, there's a couple extras. Or if you wanted to change these to a different one, you could. One of the things to note though is you have to have either stop or drive or both in order for it to work. If I take drive off here, it disables it completely. I can put stop in by itself, it's fine, but you have to have one of the two of them. You can actually take out the prime mover and it'll play when the prime mover shut off and it stopped or driving, if you so want it to. But if you remove stop and drive, it disables it. So that's the random sounds. And some of these random sounds volumes might be a little too low to hear, which is why you might think this isn't working. So you can come down in here and you can check them. So some of the random sounds we looked at, here's the radiator fan, and it's pretty loud. Air compressor is also pretty loud at a little over 50%. There's one of them in here that was pretty quiet. There's a 46. There's the shutters all at 23%. Short air let off is at 46. I'm not seeing the other. Here's the air dryer, 46%. Sanding valve was at 15%. So that may be why and of course it's not playing very long. It's only playing for a second. So that could be problematic. So you can modify the volumes. You can do all that. And if you do a modification, what's really fun is you don't have to have a LokProgrammer for it. So you can actually just come up here to Tools and Show Change CVs, and I've modified a couple of things in a previous video. So that's why those show zeros. But if you modified something here, it would give you the CV that you would need to change in your DCC system. You'll also notice that I've got the CV numbers showing here, and you might wonder how I got that. It's pretty simple. You just go to Tools, Program Settings, and then General Settings, and then Show CV Numbers. Save it. You will have to restart the file, so just close the file, so hit Save, and then close the file, reopen the file, and then the CV numbers will show up. This is useful if you're just programming your decoder with your DCC system and you don't have a LokProgrammer. And again, since these get a little complex using bits, I would recommend that you use the Show Change CVs, because it'll actually give you the value. We can ignore those two at the top. This is what you would actually put into your DCC system if you wanted to change this random sound to only play when it was moving and not when it stopped. Say you want to. I don't know why you would. Maybe you do. CV31 to 16. This is a default setting in the decoder, so you really don't have to set it, but you can if you want. CV32 is 13, and then 257 to 171. And then in your DCC system, that will do effectively what we just did by unchecking this box. And of course, writing it to the decoder. Remember, anytime you make a change and you want to put it on the decoder, you have to write the data. It's one of the big keys people miss. They make all these changes in here and wonder why it doesn't work. You actually have to put it on the decoder. It's a big key. And you only have to do the data. We're not doing anything with the sound file, so it's just data. That's the middle button here. So pretty simple, takes a few seconds to write it and it's done. And then you can go to the driver's cab and you can play with it and you can test it. All the functions are here and they all highlight. The random sounds will play randomly, of course, by themselves. But anyway, that's all there is for that one, and this video is getting too long, so I'm going to wrap it up. Let me know if you have any comments, questions, anything you want me to add to this, and we'll see if we can get it in a future video. That's all I have. We'll see you in the next one. Rio Grande fan, out.